In 2011, Zeitz laid the foundation stone for his company, Karatbars International. The goal was for every human being to be able to own gold. What was once a one-man show is now a worldwide empire of companies that generates an annual turnover of more than 100 million euros. But Harald Zeitz has even bigger goals. A gold-based means of payment, which is crisis-proof and will revolutionize our financial system. His mission was initially just laughed.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Raubat Moisar, Assalamu alaikum. Sorry, cut it a little short there. Just had a little tech glitch. But man, you see the title. We're gonna go in today, all the way in. And I mean, the guy I'm using as my source is somebody that I've had as a virtual mentor for over 15 years. You may or may not agree with what he says, and that's okay. This is his opinion and his opinion only. Okay, so I want to say the opinions that are going to be expressed today are not the opinions of Karatbars International, Wealth Builders Worldwide, or any other affiliate group. These are just the brothers' opinions who I'm bringing on, and of course my opinions are paralleled with his, and that's why I'm showing you this information today. But this is some really heavy stuff. You may or may not have seen this video circulating, and man, wait till y'all see what I'm about to show y'all today. So I'm gonna get my TV fired up here, and then we're gonna go right on in. I have a lot to cover, and I have a little bit of time to do it. And brother David Wilcock is back. I want to say something about him. For one, I don't want to ruin any surprises, but you may be able to look forward to him as an actual guest on my show soon. I'll keep y'all updated, okay? So for those y'all who enjoy this information, you know, that may be pretty exciting to you, I would hope. So I'm just going to get it started.
That we are going to get 3 days without internet and without telephone. You will be able to call 911. You will be able to call other emergency services. You will not be able to use the internet. It will slow to a crawl, or maybe not even. You might be able to get your email. I don't know if you're going to be able to text people or not. But basically, it's a shutdown of the phone and the internet. And that's for 3 days. We have 4 different sources that are telling us this, and one of those 4 sources has 5 different independent sources that told him this. The timing that we're getting on when this is going to happen is anywhere from today or tomorrow.
I just want to tell you that I have 2 sources that are pretty decent that have told me something very similar. So this is not just coming from him and all of his sources.
There's another window that suggests, and this is from a State Department source, the latest one that I just got, that it could be before, the 3 days could be before Good Friday. But during those 3 days, there's going to be the arrest of the bad guys. And so this is a very wonderful thing. I was not going to leak this intel because I felt that it would give the enemy an unfair advantage. Apparently, it doesn't matter if they run. Apparently, there's nowhere for them to go. So this is huge. And I did not think I was going to be able to leak this. I was planning on keeping it quiet. However, there's so many leaks going on. Obviously, what we heard now is we got authorized, an official briefing, to tell you that there's going to be this happening. Now, if you know my background, if you know who I am, David Wilcock, I am a regular on Ancient Aliens and a consulting producer. I've written 2 New York Times best-selling books. And I'm definitely one of the most visible people in the UFO community, the ancient civilizations, consciousness science, all that kind of stuff. And I, as a result of having millions of viewers and a public platform that's extending back to 1995, 25 years, I have gotten in touch with multiple insiders who are, in some cases, very highly connected people who have not spoken to anyone else. Sometimes I'm the only one who they will trust or talk to, and I get the burden or the honor of leaking this kind of information. So
real quick, look, I'm not guaranteeing anything that hasn't already happened. I don't do that. I'm not a prophet or none of the above. I can't tell you what's going to happen tomorrow for sure. I'm just giving you some clues of what may happen. And I just want to clarify that. But I also want to say, in case that is to happen, be ready for at least 3 days of no telephone and no internet. And one of my sources told me that the power might be out as well. I don't know, though. He says otherwise. So I'm hoping that we do keep our power on. But there is a very, very good chance that we're going to go into a 3-day blackout of phone and internet. And like he said, it's probably going to happen before Good Friday, which is, I believe, on the 10th. So we're looking forward to it likely in days. I mean, like I said, I'm not making any predictions. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. But I like to, clue you in on what very well could happen.
I know there's a lot of fear out there. I know this is a very dark time for many people, and I certainly do not want to undermine that for
Right.
1 minute. However, if you can follow with me in this talk what I'm going to be telling you, the 3 days are very exciting. If you understand what's going on, we've already made it this far. I've been telling you for 11 years that were from briefings that came from people that were working directly up with the presidential level, okay? We've been telling you for 11 years that you were going to need about 2 weeks to a month of stored food and water in your house, that you wouldn't want to go outside. I didn't know why, okay? We thought we were going to lose power, but we weren't sure. But we definitely knew about the stored food and water. We definitely knew that you'd have to stay in the house. And we also knew that during that time, arrests would be taking place.
And just to add some validity to what he's saying, he has said this. 11 years ago, exactly, almost to the T what's going on now, that we would have to stay in. A lot of what's going on now, this is not brand new from him saying it. And that's why I respect this brother so much. And he's been wrong about a few things, but usually only the timeline, not the actual event. And what he's about to announce now is just phenomenal. And I really, really look forward to this happening.
When the mafia started to get arrested in the 1970s, they had to come up with new laws to be able to arrest a criminal ring that goes outside of state lines.
RICO.
So that's where they got the term RICO from, R-I-C-O, which is Racketeering Influenced Corrupt Organizations Act. And what RICO does is it allows for a group of individuals who are working in different states to be arrested all at once without a pre-existing trigger that would make it obvious what was about to happen. In other words, you don't want to tip them off. You want to keep them in suspense. You don't want them to know what's going on. So what you have to do is create sealed indictments. Now, a sealed indictment is something that's very specific, and this is something we need to review today. A sealed indictment is where you have a grand jury that has been convened. Now, a grand jury can only be convened on one of three levels. It can either be county, state, or federal. But it involves high-level prosecutors who present evidence to a citizen panel, an anonymous, confidential citizens panel of jurors who hear the evidence, and this is without the accused being on trial because, of course, the accused doesn't know they're going to be arrested. And the grand jury, the citizen grand jury, decides whether there is enough evidence based on the presentation from the prosecutor to warrant an indictment. And if they get the indictment, then that means that once all of the players of this criminal enterprise have gotten their sealed indictments and the law enforcement is ready, they unseal them and they get everybody at once. Because if you don't do that, if it's like the mafia and you only get one guy, but the others know that they were part of that, they're going to flee the country, they're going to take cash, they're going to fly, They're going to do something. So that's where you get your sealed indictments from. Now, we have a lot of sealed indictments, and from what we're hearing, during those 3 days, many of these indictments will be unsealed, and many people will be arrested. And this is a very, very good thing, because the people we're talking about are essentially satanic. They did create this virus. That's one of the things you're going to hear again today. They didn't get it right, though.
And let me tell you something about the creation of this virus, right? Dr. Sebi says that that all viruses are created, right? Viruses are not natural. Viruses are created. Viruses are not what we call non-conventional warfare. So that's not the only brother saying, that this was created. I mean, that virus in general was created, but he's going to break down how and by who and what the motive is.
Got the contagion part right, but they didn't get the lethality. And I'm going to show you a guy who is actually just as credible, if not more so, as the head immunologist in the United States, Dr. Anthony Fauci. This guy, Dr. Michael Levitt, is literally like the Jimi Hendrix of epidemiologists, okay? And Dr. Michael Levitt is saying, what's the big deal? This thing is not that bad. It's not very dangerous.
Now, real quick, I know people on here who have people that have suffered and even died from this. And don't think for 1 minute that I'm trying to downplay the severity of this within this video or within my opinion.
It's not going to last very long. And he actually was able to predict how many people would get sick and die in Wuhan based on the existing numbers. He was able to get it within a very, very narrow window. And so we're going to see him telling us that this is not a big deal. So I do want you to respect social distancing. I do want you to stay home.
That's right.
It's not as lethal as the media is making it out to be.
That's
Dr.
right.
Michael Levitt makes a very good case that this is all, a lot of it at least, is fear-mongering. Now, a lot of people die from the flu as well. More are going to die from the flu probably than coronavirus. But the problem is that coronavirus, because it's so contagious, you're getting a large number of deaths, relatively speaking, in a very short time window, which overloads the capacity of the healthcare system. The flu doesn't get everybody all at once, so there's more time for everybody to kind of pass through the system. So this is really the main issue. Now, if this were a true epidemic, if the lethality rate of this thing were, let's say, 10% or 20%, then you have a truly unbelievable disaster that is nothing like what is happening now. And we don't even want to think about the horrible decisions that would have to be made. It would probably involve mass burials. All this kind of horrible stuff would have to be done. That's not happening. The healthcare system has been tested. People are getting what they need. They're getting the care they need. They're getting, auxiliary hospitals are being set up in places like New York City. It's only really in Italy where their economy is so strapped that they've had to triage. It's very, very sad that certain people are just not being admitted in because they don't have a high enough chance of surviving. That is not happening in the U.S., and it probably won't, based upon how fast we're able to create these mobile hospitals and get everything going. And the military is your friend. The military is not trying to hurt anyone. They are helping with distribution.
And real quick, I've seen a lot of pictures of National Guard and tanks on trains and stuff. But I do want to let y'all know that that's not a bad thing. It's not for the purpose of martial law. That's not what's going on here. At least I don't believe so. I do believe that the military in this particular case are our friends and are on our side. Once again, these are just my opinions. But that's what I believe.
Distribution of food, distribution of medicine, getting people critical care. That is what's going on right now. So the 3 days is the new briefing. This is something that I had told Elizabeth a few days ago. I was very, very excited about it. But there is no way that I was going to open my big effing mouth and be the guy who ruined disclosure for planet Earth.
Right.
Believe me, I don't want that. So I was actually quite shocked when I found out that we were authorized to leak that intel. So when you no longer can get online and when your phone doesn't work, you got to wait 3 days. And then when the lights come back on, metaphorically speaking, even though they shouldn't be off, we're not expecting abnormalities in power. When the lights come back on, what have we been told? We've been told that every news channel and all the websites, all the television shows, they're going to have this 8-hour chunk of information.
Right.
And they're going to play it 3 times a day. If you want to watch the whole thing, you got to watch 8 hours. It's going to run 8 times 3, 3 shifts a day of 8 hours. And that's all there's going to be. And this is going to be information that tells you that the planet was being run by a satanic cult. And I know it sounds crazy. It's like, well, David, this sounds like a really stupid, bad horror movie, but that's actually the way this thing is going. There are people on this planet who have been here trying to plot against us for many, many years.
Yes.
And they have not succeeded. They have lost decisively. If you really want to understand what's going on, I'm going to talk about some archetypes today. And one of the archetypes I'm going to talk about is the father.
I see Sarah and Chris on here, and I knew y'all were going to love this one because I've been watching your posts lately, and this is going to kind of recant even some of my own opinions is about even what he's about to say, particularly about Trump. But here's the thing. I've been wrong before, and I'll probably be wrong again.
Archetype, okay? And I'm going to lay something on you here about Trump. I'm going to say that Trump is dad. On an archetypal level, Trump is dad, okay? Wow, that's pretty controversial. Well, think about it. We end up bonding with politicians as if they are family members. And so whether you like him or not, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that archetypally, Trump is America's dad. He's the guy running the country.
That's
okay?
right.
And in our own personal lives, let's try to get away from it being Trump for a second and think about what it means to have a father, okay? If Trump is dad, then a lot of people are having daddy issues right now. Really
Including
bad.
me.
I can't stand dad. Dad pisses me off. Dad makes me so angry.
That's me.
Frickin' all he does is this crazy, crazy stuff. And why won't he listen? Why doesn't he understand me? And oh my God, he's foul-mouthed. And oh my God, he hasn't been the best that he could be, okay? We all have projections of what we want heroes to be. And I certainly have not fit in with people's projections either. Many, many times I get criticized online. People say I have too much of an ego. People say I'm too arrogant. I think confidence is being misplaced as ego. I really do try very hard not to have an ego, and I don't overly promote myself. You can see that by virtue of the fact that in the year 2019, I really kind of took a lot of time off. I didn't really do very much. I was working on my book. I don't need to feed everybody lots of little things on social media, although I know you love that if I do. I'm sorry that I haven't been doing that. This is not about ego for me. We have had plenty of threats against our lives, against our peace, against our financial stability, and that's real. I have not stopped doing what I'm doing just because of severe hecklers, which actually did organize into a group that was trying to get our businesses shut down, trying to get everything that we do shut down. It's been a very intense battle. That battle got so heavy that I largely withdrew from public attention last year. And I'm not out there trying to sell a bunch of products all the time. I don't have things you can buy on my website like little keychains or mugs or anything. Not that that's bad, okay, but we don't have them. We've done this through your grassroots support, and we now have the Wilcock Spiritual Healing Foundation, which also is a very important part of our work that allows me to do these videos and have them sponsored. But enough of that. I want to get into the slides now because we have a lot of material to cover. So
Okay, so I'm going to fast forward a little bit because this this video is 3.5 hours long, and I strongly recommend to watch it all. You take what you want from it. You can develop your own opinions. I'm not trying to shift anybody's opinions. I'm not trying to sway anybody in one direction or another, and I'm not saying that Trump is a good guy and all this kind of stuff. There's a lot of stuff about him I don't like, but Facts are facts, and he actually is in a position, and I want to show you why he was put into this position. Well, we're not even going to get into that. What we are going to do is we're going to move up to about 1 hour, 1 minute, and 16 seconds. It looks like. Okay, and I'm going to let y'all dig into this later, but it's specific stuff that I want to show y'all and talk about today. So we're going to move all the way up to here.
The Wall Street Journal gave us some honest facts in an article they came out with recently. We'll have that link in the description soon enough. Number one, they're showing that the current charts instill fear deliberately because it says the current charts instill fear are not relevant. This chart only shows the total number of cases to date, which is no longer a relevant number. They just keep adding up the numbers and they just keep making the graph higher. But in fact, it's falling off very quickly, the actual number of cases. Number two, the number of cases per million are very small. You look over here on the right, that's the total number of cases per 1 million people. And you can see those numbers are very small. So this is way below 1%. The highest number is Italy at 778, as you can see there. And that is only 0.07%.
Right.
Okay, if you calculate it. The affected countries are showing regular ongoing declines. Look at this. The China coronavirus is spreading, but probably not accelerating. So you look at these different colored lines and you see, okay, let's see. Blue is China, yellow is South Korea, green is Italy, orange is Iran, and the red is the USA. And sure enough, look at what's happening. It just falls off. And so on the X graph at the bottom, you see those numbers, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11. Those are the number of days. Okay, and then you can see there that at the time this chart was made, everybody is going down within a month. It's pretty much almost gone within a month. There's a little spike there, as you can see, with the Chinese data on day 29, but it's not necessarily going to last. It's a bell curve. So that's the next thing. The virus follows a bell curve and it declines fast after it peaks.
Right.
That's what we see right here.
Yep.
Number four, the coronavirus will decline no matter what the media says. The virus is on a bell curve, as the numbers from China and South Korea point out. This thing reaches a fast...
And even for my Sabian brothers and sisters on here, the master teacher told us this as well, that it is going to go away.
...peak and then declines, as viruses typically do. So look at this. You're seeing, on the x-axis again, the dates, and then you're seeing China on the left and South Korea on the right, okay? China gets hit, and it starts to peak around January 27th, and already by the time you're less than a month later on February 21st, it's already, the bell curve has gone way the heck down, and then look at that, it starts up in South Korea around the same time, it peaks, and it drops right down again. Now here's the next thing. The virus burns off in the summer heat. If you look in these areas, it says here, this virus will likely burn off in the summer like other viruses, and I'm not going to read all this, but basically where the green areas are is where the virus is thriving, and in the red areas, like throughout Africa, there are very, very few cases of coronavirus. So this virus does not like the heat, and now that things are warming up, it's not going to do well for the virus. So whoever designed this virus, now think about this, if this was a designer virus, they knew they had to release it during the winter. And sure enough, the China thing starts right at the end of December. Zhao Songjing was going in there as of December 9th. That's when his flight would be. And they were planning on probably releasing those vials and other vials soon afterwards. His vials were not included. If they had been, it probably would have infected a lot more people. But thank God he got stopped, and now he's been arrested. And one of the briefings we got is that we're going to be told this on a collective level. Guess what, everybody? This really sucks, and I'm sorry to tell you this, but the virus was man-made. We know who did it. It traces back to Bill Gates, to this overpopulation thing they were trying to do. That's going to be a huge pill for people to swallow. As Mega Anon said in the last show, people are going to want to give the truth back. They're not going to want the truth, because the truth is awful.
And, I just want to stop there for a second, because everybody's asking for the truth. But I love a Jack Nicholson line in I think a movie called A Few Good Men. He said, "You can't handle the truth." Right? So it's like, are you you guys are begging for the truth, but I'm just saying, be ready, because the truth is really, really ugly. And I mean, in such a way, it's just unparalleled to anything that we've ever seen. Now, in the light of time, I'm going to move forward a little bit further, and we're going to jump up to right about here. I do want y'all to watch all this. I wish we had time. I would sit and watch this whole thing with you, and we could go back and forth and break it down. But I wanted to come here because, of course, this ties into our financial literacy part.
We bailed you out in 2008, and then you guys just paid yourself bonuses and nobody went to jail. And now you've done it again. You play in the same games you played before. Your whole thing implodes in 3 weeks, and we're supposed to bail you out again. The Federal Reserve was taking $1 trillion a day, and they were going to do that till the end of the month, but that all changed thanks to some things. This is a big, big part of what we're going to talk about in a minute here. But I want you to hear from Savali herself about...
A few people are asking for the link. I got y'all. I'm definitely going to post it for y'all, okay? So just give me a second. But I will post the link, at the end of the show, so everybody can log in. And this next young lady, he's about to introduce. Well, I'll let him introduce her. But she's a former. She was once a part of the Illuminati, and she's a whistleblower, and she was in charge of mind control. So
what they were.
Look at that.
We're planning to do, and remember, this was in 2000. And you can go look this stuff up. It's
right.
Never gone away. It's still online. Check
Yes.
it out. Do you want to hear the end of the world scenario the Illuminati taught me as a member? This is her talking. It was cult propaganda, but this is how they believed the new world order would be ushered in. There will be continued conflict in the Middle East, with the severe threat of nuclear war being the culmination of these hostilities. Now, what did I show you in the last show? Sure enough, first they blew up all these oil fields, then they had this attack on the American embassy in Iraq, and they tried to get us into war with Iran. Mm-hmm. It was like the threat of the nuclear war. So that part that she said came true. But there's more. An economic collapse. Look at this. An economic collapse that will devastate the economy of the U.S. and Europe, much like the Great Depression. That's what they were planning all along. She said this in 2000.
Right.
One reason that our economy continues to limp along is the artificial supports from the Federal Reserve, manipulating interest rates, etc. But one day this won't work, or the leverage will be withdrawn on purpose, and the next Great Depression will hit.
That's right.
Sure enough. Now this is what's not going to happen, okay? This is what they were trying to do, but it's not going to happen, just to be clear. The government will call in its bonds and loans, and credit card debts will be called in. There will be massive bankruptcies nationwide. Europe will stabilize first, and Germany, France, and England, surprise, surprise, the top 3 Illuminati countries, will have the strongest economies and will institute through the UN an international currency. Well, that was what they were trying to do with the euro, and the Brexit thing has destroyed that. That is not going to happen. The cabal is being defeated, but this is the plan that they had before it was successfully countered by what I'm calling the alliance. Japan also will pull out, although their economy will be weakened. Peacekeeping forces will be sent out by the UN and local bases to prevent riots. The leaders will reveal themselves. These are the true satanic leaders of the Illuminati. And people will be asked to make a pledge of loyalty during a time of chaos and financial devastation. Now again, this is not what is happening now. But the idea was they wanted to destroy the planet, and then they wanted to reveal that they are, in fact, Luciferians. They think Lucifer is the good guy. Mm-hmm. And if you don't believe them, they're going to kill you. If you don't want to go along with it, they're going to kill you or put you in a concentration camp. It's very, very scary. These people are serious as a heart attack. You might not believe they really exist, but look at what happened with Weinstein. Look at what's happening with Epstein. There's something going on here, and the alliance knows about it, and that's what QAnon is, and that's what the Trump presidency really is. It is intended to stop this thing from continuing, and it's working.
And I just want to explain, some people be like, well, why did they pick Trump? Well, it was explained earlier in this segment, the reason Trump was chosen is because the alliance doesn't have that type of funding that the Illuminati have. The alliance is not as well funded as the Illuminati. And so they needed someone who could pay for their own election. They could sponsor themselves to become president. And so they had met with him, some of the military, and according to this particular presentation, this is the reason that he was selected, because he was able to sponsor himself into presidency, and because he's also not a part of the Illuminati, at least according to this. So they needed somebody that wasn't a billionaire, pretty much, that could sponsor their own presidency, that was not already drinking blood and making, sacrifices and stuff. So, is he the best guy in the world? Of course not. Is there a lot of things I disagree with that he says? Yes. Is he an idiot sometimes? Yes. But he was it seems like the only and best choice, considering they needed to get someone in there that was not a part of this racket of that's all connected. And a good point I think I should make up now is there was a young lady, she actually is in high school, and I don't have her name right now, but she did a summer project, and she was able to tie 98% of the presidents into one bloodline. Yes, all of the presidents share the same bloodline. It's interesting, right? And consequently, they believe that that bloodline is some kind of elite bloodline, and it ties back into, I'm gonna say a big word here. Don't think I'm crazy. Extraterrestrial. That's what they believe. I'm not, whether I believe it or not is irrelevant. The powers that be, the Illuminati, they believe that. They believe that their bloodline ties back to some advanced extraterrestrial race, and they believe that they're special because of this. And the fact that all presidents are of the same bloodline, well, 98% of them, shows that some drastic measures had to be made. Now, it starts to make sense of why, the president, who is the president now, is the president now, right? So,
God. This doesn't sound pleasant, does it? I don't know the exact time frame for when they wanted to do this, and I wouldn't want to even guess. The good news is that if a person is debt-free, owes nothing to the government or credit debt, and can live self-sufficiently, they may do better than others.
Whoa, hold on. What did he say? We got to rewind that. Oh, my goodness. Look at this.
Money will be worth about what Confederate money was.
Oh, man, daggone it. I done messed it up. Oh, man, that was great. Okay, but look, we're going to start here then. I would invest in gold, not stocks, if I had the income. Gold will once again be the world standard, and dollars will be pretty useless. Right? Now, this is an Illuminati whistleblower. This is her statements. And this was from 2000. Remember, after the Civil War, it said, our money will be worth about what Confederate money was after the collapse. And yes, the Confederate dollar was actually the last fiat dollar before the dollar that you see now. And the same thing happened to it that happens to all other fiats. It eventually reaches its intrinsic value of zero, and you can look forward to the same thing happening to our dollar. And soon, okay? I'm going to try to go back like maybe one slide, because it was some really important information I wanted to share with y'all. No, it's just a little bit before this. Oh, man. Dang. I done messed it up. All right. Okay, so I'm just going to start from here.
Income. Gold, once again, will be the world standard. Dollars will be pretty useless. Remember, after the Civil War, our money will be worth about what Confederate money was after the collapse. All this said, it could just be cult propaganda that was taught to me and others to frighten us.
It wasn't
just
just
cult
propaganda.
It may be that none of this will happen. I sincerely hope it won't. I also strongly believe that God is able to stay the hand of the wicked and able to take care of our nation and others if we turn to Him. Now, that's her belief. She's a Christian.
And it's I think that's an important point, is that it's a good time to get in touch with and create a greater relationship with whoever that you acknowledge as the creator, God, the Most High, the universe, whatever it is that you acknowledge the creator to be. Okay, it's definitely a good time to get in great standings with your God.
That's how she got out of the Illuminati. So this is another very important one. The article was called "The Illuminati Plan to Rule the World." This again was written in 2000.
Right.
All groups have goals, and the Illuminists are no.
I just want to tell y'all, I was studying this exact information in 2000. I seen these articles from her then. So it's amazing seeing them come to pass now and how accurate some of her information was.
Exception. Money making is not their final goal. It is a means to an end. The end point is no less than to rule the world.
That's right.
The Illuminati has a set plan similar to the Soviet Union's previous 5-year and 10-year plans. This is what the Illuminists themselves believe and teach their followers as gospel truth. Whether they will actually succeed is another matter altogether. The following is the Illuminist agenda at all levels of the Illuminati. As with any goal, the Illuminati has specific steps which it plans to implement to reach its objectives. Briefly, each region of the United States has nerve centers or power bases for regional activity. The United States has been divided up secretly into 7 major geographical regions. Each region has localities within it that contain military compounds and bases that are hidden in remote isolated areas or on large private estates. These bases are used intermittently to teach and train generational Illuminati in military techniques, hand-to-hand combat, crowd control, use of arms, and all aspects of military warfare. Why? Because the Illuminists believe that our government as we know it, as well as the governments of most nations around the world, are destined to collapse.
Mm-hmm.
These will be planned collapses, and they will occur in the following ways. The Illuminati has planned first for a financial collapse that will make the Great Depression look like a picnic. Well,
now I don't know if they're behind this or not, but I'm telling you, this is a good point. This depression is going to make the last one look like a picnic. And if you talk to people, if you talk to some of the elders who lived in that time, and some of them are still with us, they tell you those were very, very difficult times where you haven't seen anything. And not trying to scare y'all, I'm trying to prepare y'all. You see? Not trying to scare, I'm trying to prepare. This is why we're always telling y'all to get some gold. Let me move on.
It's going twice as fast as the Great Depression did already, the crash of 1929. This will occur through the maneuvering of the great banks and financial institutions of the world, through stock manipulation and interest rate changes.
Mm-hmm.
Most people will be indebted to the federal government through bank and credit card debt.
Most people will be indebted to the government through bank and credit card debt.
The governments will recall everyone's debt immediately, but most people will be unable to pay and will be bankrupted. This will cause a generalized financial panic which will occur simultaneously worldwide as the Illuminists firmly believe in controlling.
Okay, so this will cause a generalized financial panic which will occur simultaneously worldwide. Is that or is that not something like what's going on right now? Now, this was all written in 2000 by an Illuminati whistleblower who became Christian, and for that reason she decided to expose these Luciferians.
People through finances. Next, there will be a military takeover region by region as the government declares a state of emergency and martial law. Now look at this. People will have panicked. There will be an anarchical state in most localities. That's not happening now. And the government will justify its move as being necessary to control panicked citizens. Now, I don't believe any of this is going to happen, but this is what they wanted to happen. It's important to understand what they were planning. The cult trained military leaders and people under their direction to use arms as well as crowd control techniques to implement this new state of affairs. This is why so many survivors under 36 years of age report military programming. People who are not Illuminists or who are not sympathetic to the Luciferianism will resist. The Illuminists expect this and will be and are being trained in how to deal with this eventuality. They are training their people in hand-to-hand combat, crowd control, and if necessary...
Now take a look at this. And this is why I encourage you all to, I mean, definitely you should be proficient in martial arts, because they are proficient in martial arts. And they may be the ones we have to come up against one day. But it says they are training their people in hand-to-hand combat, crowd control, and if necessary, will kill to control the crowds. So if they're studying hand-to-hand combat and we want to stand any chance, we better do the same. And that's right, sis, grow your own food. We got to become self-sufficient in every way possible. And we need to link up, and we need to use unity.
They will kill in order to control crowds. The Illuminati is training their people to be prepared for every possible reaction to their
Now think about that. They're training for every possible reaction. Don't you think that we should be doing the same? I do. Let's make sure that we're on point just like they are. So it's not about it's going to be this, it's going to be that. Let's prepare for everything. Let's prepare for all possible scenarios. It says right here that the Illuminati is
global takeover, the New World Order. Many of their mind control victims will also be called into duty with preset command codes. She talks all about how that works
and
in her books. These codes are meant to call out a new and completely loyal to the cult presenting system, meaning the person's personality changes and is now an Illuminati advocate.
Mm-hmm. So what's being said there is certain people have been programmed and don't even know it. And they won't know it until their program is initiated. It could be a word, a sound. You can read into this stuff. I mean, there's a lot of information out about this. I think one place you could start is MK Ultra.
Codes that have been programmed under severe trauma will be used to destroy or bury any alternate personalities or alters that would not be loyal to the cult. Military bases will be set up in each locality. Actually, they are already here, but they're covert. In the next few years, they will go above ground and be revealed. I'm not sure if that happened. I assume it did. Each locality will have regional bases and leaders to which they are accountable. The hierarchy will closely reflect the current covert hierarchy. About 5 years ago, when I left the Illuminati, which would have been 1995, approximately 1% of the U.S. population, according to her knowledge, was either part of the Illuminati, sympathetic to it, or a victim of their mind control.
Wow. There goes that 1% number again. Interesting, right? You keep bumping into that number.
And therefore considered usable. Well, 1% would be, I guess, about 3 million people, right? Because it's 300 million people at the time. 3 million people's a lot. Well, this may not sound like many. Imagine 1% of the population highly trained in the use of armaments, crowd control, psychological techniques, behavioral techniques, armed with weapons and linked to paramilitary groups.
Woo-hoo.
These people will also be completely dedicated to their cause.
Mm-hmm.
The Illuminati firmly believes it can easily overcome the other 99% of the population, most of whom are untrained or poorly trained, such as quote-unquote weekend hunters. Even the local militaries will be overcome.
See, now they even called those so-called weekend hunters, right? Poorly trained. So, I mean, going to the gun range is not a bad idea. Often. Studying hand-to-hand combat is not a bad idea often. If you have people to train with, it's even better, because in the realm of martial arts, a lot of techniques will not work unless you practice them with an opponent.
Illuminati will have regional cell groups with highly trained leaders. They also count on the element of surprise helping them during their takeover. Now, before we go any farther, I understand this is like crazy fear porn, okay? And I'm only telling you this not because this is what's happening. Most of this stuff has now been stopped. The alliance, the military, is the good guys, actually. They're working for our benefit, and they are not participating in this agenda. They have broken away from it, and so you're not going to see this happen. But it is important to understand exactly what they were planning.
Durf Cook, great comment. He said nanobots can be dormant until they receive the right signal. And that's actually one of my fields of studies is nanotechnology. And you're absolutely right, brother. And they can cause biological and mental changes. And you could have nanobots in you now and you wouldn't know. If you ever got a needle in a hospital, you may have already been injected. And so you would never know. Even the doctor administering the nanobots may not know what they're putting into you, because it could be a vial that says anything on it, right? But that's a good point, brother. Thank you. That's a good point.
And when they come out and they tell you, hey, we believe in Lucifer, we think Lucifer's the good guy, your gods, your kings are the Rockefellers and the Vanderbilts and the Carnegies and the Rothschilds, that's what they were planning on doing. You have to worship these people. You have to worship these billionaires.
Well, Durf Cook, he said, who is going to the gun range now? Everything is closed. Is the military practicing social distancing? Well, I'll tell you this. I'm not sure what the military is practicing as far as social distancing, although I would think that they are taking some precautions. But actually, gun stores are open around the country, and some of those gun stores have gun ranges attached to them, and they are considered an essential business right now. So that was actually by order of the president. So that was one of them things that I definitely agree with him keeping. So he kept the gun range, well, at least the gun stores open. So some gun ranges are open, brother.
And if you don't, then they're going to kill you. And they want everybody microchipped. They want everybody controllable. That's what they were planning. So this is being stopped, thank God. But I want you to understand what they were trying to do, and this was all leaked back in 2000. Many of the highest leaders in the militia branch of the Illuminati are or have been officers in the military, and so they already have a good knowledge of what techniques will work best to overcome a region or locality's defenses.
Right.
After the military takeover, the general population will be given a chance to either espouse the Illuminati's cause or reject it, with imprisonment, pain, and even death being possible punishment. These people very much believe that the intelligent or enlightened or illuminated were born to rule, which they think is them. They are very arrogant. They consider the general population to be dumb sheep who will be easily led if they are offered strong leadership, financial help in an unstable world economy, and dire consequences if they rebel. These people's utter ruthlessness and their ability to implement this agenda should never be minimized. The Illuminati banking leaders, such as the Rothschilds, Vanderbilts, Rockefellers, Carnegies, and Mellons, as some examples, will reveal themselves and offer to save the floundering world economy. Well, they caused the problem. A new system of monetary exchange based on an international monetary system and running between Cairo, Egypt, and Brussels, Belgium, will be set up, so she said. This was the plan. A true one-world economy creating the longed-for one-world order will become a reality in this.
And I just want to tell you, like he said, not all of this has come to pass. But if you think about her having written this in, that long ago, I mean, what's that, like almost 20 years ago, and you see how much of it is accurate. And there you go, you see that one world order. Well, they put something very similar in what was the magazine? It was oh man, I can't think of the name of Forbes. So there's a Forbes article, and they said we're going to move into a one global order. So they try to switch it up on us just a little bit. That's the tricks, that are played.
Plan. There is more to their agenda, but these are the basics of it. This agenda is what the Illuminati really truly believe, teach, and are training for. And again, 3 million people in America alone is quite a lot trying to do this. They are willing to give their lives up in this cause in order to teach the next generation, as they believe their children are their legacy. I was told that my children's generation would see this takeover happen sometime in the 21st century. Well, now we're 20 years in. At present, the Illuminati have quietly and covertly fostered their takeover plan by their goals of the infiltration of, number one, the media.
Right.
That's obviously a big one, huge. Number two, the banking system. Number three, they've infiltrated the educational system. They're only going to tell you what they want you to know.
And look,
number four,
this is not far from what we've already been studying. What does Robert Kiyosaki tells us? There's fake, right? Fake. The media, fake. Banking system, fake. Educational system, fake. Right? We already know this. This is stuff that we're learning. So this is kind of like, hope to use some of this as just a confirmation of the amazing information that we're taught through the profound leadership of wealth builders worldwide. And once again, for those of you that just joined, these are not the opinions of Wealth Builders Worldwide or Karatbars International. Today, these are my opinions and David Wilcock's opinions and the Illuminati whistleblowers' opinions only.
Government, both on a local and federal scale. Number 5, the sciences. I've been doing a lot of work.
So they've even misinformed us in the realm of the sciences. Crazy, right?
To untangle what really needs to be told about in science from credible PhDs who are ignored. And number 6, the churches.
The churches.
Yes, that also. So religion has been all screwed up by these guys.
Mm-hmm.
In the political arena, they will fund both sides of a race because their greatest maxim is that out of chaos comes order, which is a discipline of anarchy. That is why they sent arms to and funded both sides of both of the great world wars in this century. And I already knew that when I read this. They believe history is a game like chess, that only out of strategy, fighting, conflict, and testing will the strong emerge. I no longer agree with this philosophy, but at one time I did with all my heart. Hopefully, as these people and their agenda are exposed, the common man will rise up against this intended rule to be foisted upon an unsuspecting mankind. Well, she is using gender-specific language there, but that was her choice. Now, in 2006, I got her to go on the radio. We have it on my website in the Revealing article. You can still listen to it and download it, with Greg Szymanski. And here again, she said, I was told there would be an enormous...
Oh, and I would suggest, if y'all have the time, to go listen to this interview as well. It's...
enormous economic collapse prior to the revealing, which is when they say, here we are, everybody, and now you have to worship Lucifer.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, that's what they were wanting to do. Basically, the stock market would destabilize, and then the caller said, well, that appears to be already happening.
Mm-hmm.
She said, yeah, I was told it would make the Great Depression look like Sunday school.
It would make the Great Depression look like Sunday school. Whoo. Man, wow, he said there's some brief bufferings. I'm sorry about that, guys, and hopefully at least people that get to watch it later won't experience that. I do want to tell you that there's a lot of internet trouble. I've been having problems with my internet for the last week, and you know, we might be in for a 3-day outage very soon, very soon. I know I'm way over the time that I normally keep y'all, and I definitely am not going to go and cut into today's power call, because the power call is going to fuel us with some amazing good news. You know, I'm sorry I had to drop some of the bad news on you today. I just think it was important to, you know, I don't typically do this, honestly. A lot of what I do in my streams is not all that I know, but I often censor what it is that I want to bring out, so that I don't turn people away from my streams, or it's not too dramatic. But I thought this was important enough to go ahead and just go ahead and share it anyway. So I hope that all of you found tremendous value in this. As promised, I will be sharing the link, and I mean, hey, do your own research. Panabab Yanoon's famous words: don't believe me, check it out for yourself. And that's what I want all of you to do, okay? This way you can get your own confirmation, you can come to your own decisions, and you can form your own opinion. And with that being said, I want to tell you all, I love you. Yeah, you too. Don't try to duck. I love you too. Everybody on the stream, everybody watching this stream, that's my message to you. Be safe. Continue to practice social distancing. Make sure you have about a month's supply of food and water. Not tap water. I mean, that's okay, but water. And proper preparation prevents poor performance. And these are the times that you want to have optimal performance. Trust me. Wadu, au.